Okay, so scary days, I swear. So I got a new daily. Look at my daily, boys. Damn. We got the proper work truck. We got the work truck. We got the work truck. So I just got the windows tinted from my neighbor for this truck. We are gonna slowly be working on this truck, making it really, really nice, along with the 300Z, the GTO, and the truck. So we gotta get, this is the work rig, so then I don't have to worry about the GTO on a regular basis, or the Z. So this one is a V6, and it's in great shape, so we're gonna run it for a while before considering any updates to the engine. Now, with this all being said, this allows me to drive this truck all the time and then work on the GTO, work on the Z without interruptions, without rushing to need a car. We're working on a few things here in the shop. As you guys can see, we have been chopping away at the S10, trying to get that one done completely. Yeah, there's a ton going on. I feel like the further and further I get in the car game, the more stuff that goes on, you know. Now on to the last few days and why I haven't posted. So I'll give you the rundown. I was supposed to go to the track. Sorry, I'm driving. I was supposed to go to the track, and track day, that day, a couple weird things have been happening. Number one, the GTO, I thought I hurt the motor. It was smoking pretty good. Not smoking as in, like, it was having some blow by, right? Yeah, it was having some blow by. So I thought, well, maybe it's very possible the rings or the piston is finally going out, whatever. I might have detonated it while I was drifting, because I did run it pretty hard that day. You know, drifting's consistently hard, not necessarily like the drag strip to where you're all out, just one and done, but it's consistently hard for several laps. So I thought possibly, you know, hurt a ringland, broke a piston, something like that, and that's why I was smoking. So I decided to, before I did anything, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. So I started going over the car, seeing if there's any little things that would, you know, indicate that there was something else wrong before, you know, tearing the engine down. Because I was fully planning on just pulling the engine straight away and then slapping my LS3 in. But I really didn't want to use the LS3 for the GTO at all. Obviously, it was a candidate that was there, but I didn't want to use it. I would rather build my 6.0 than slap the LS3 in there. And the reason being is I ran a Lincoln Filter box before on my old Z, and I hated it. It took forever to synchronize with the ECU, and I just didn't want to deal with that. I don't want to get a new ECU, all that kind of stuff. So I want to stay on the 24 tooth reluctor and that kind of. I thought it was knocking, right? But it wasn't knocking. And I'll show you, I have a small clip on my phone. It was not knocking. Because the turbo and everything is loud in the cabin, I thought it was knocking, but what happened was I had 2 drive shaft bolts come loose on the GTO, and the bolts were actually rattling, pretty much rattling and sounding like a knock. And what's crazy is, you know, obviously as you accelerate, the knocks get faster, right? So I'm like, oh, I hurt my engine. It is what it is. So I went to park it, heard a boom, but it wasn't like anything crazy, but I felt it in the rear end. And I was like, oh, and then the knocking went away, right? I was like, all right, well, I'll pull it into the shop. I'll get up on the stands and see what is going on. I find a bolt. I find one bolt completely out. So I lost the drive shaft bolt, and yeah. So that was, you know, relief number one. I got extra drive shaft bolts. It's all good. I didn't hurt the guibo. I didn't hurt anything other than the bolts coming loose. The other thing I noticed is that, you know, the stubs were a little bit loose. So where my axles bolt into the stubs, those were a little loose as well, which caused a little bit of vibration. Now you're probably wondering, how did you not feel this in the rear end? Honestly, I don't know how I didn't feel it. I should have felt it, but I didn't feel it. It was so subtle, but it was noticeable for the sound, but it was so subtle. So I don't know how I didn't feel it. As soon as I figured that out, engine's not knocking. So that's a huge relief. Now I'm doing some digging, right? Looking some stuff up just to verify. I work on these things all the time, but you gotta look stuff up just to verify that, you know, not every engine is the same. Boosted engines are completely different. I also thought, you know, I might have, you know, had since I never opened up the bottom end of the GTO, never gapped the rings, nothing. I thought, okay, it's possible, you know, I had some rings touch, broke a ring land, something like that, and that was causing the smoke. So what had happened was, I think I need to just go through and clean out the whole PCV system, because I am using still a factory LS2 valley cover, aka LS6 valley cover that has the PCV in the valley. I think it got lodged shut, and then you know, those pressures have to go somewhere, and that's where I was getting the smoke. So I did do a bit of cleaning. I got to do another oil change, and then I think, you know, I think that would have solved the issue, because it's not smoking anymore, it's not knocking, nothing literally is going on with the cars. Anyway, I say all that to say, I'm sorry for not posting videos because I thought the car was broken, and here's a bunch of S10 content because we've been working on the S10 a handful. Hopefully by this next week, we could get that first drive in, and yeah, but psyched on the new daily. We got plenty of videos coming. We'll be finally addressing the LS3, getting that built up and built. I'm also gonna be doing a swap on my buddy Ronnie's car, who's also gonna get an LS3 for his Corvette. So, well, fuel cell is mounted, good to go. So now we gotta just put the bed back on and figure out where to cut this hole for, you know, your gas fill. I probably actually won't put on the bed for a little bit because I got to get some lines for this thing. We're gonna run a inline pump, and yeah, inline pump. Then we'll just got to figure out the drive shaft. I got to drop the transmission. Actually, I got to drop the transmission first to figure out. I was having some clutch engagement issues before the truck came in, so I got to just figure out to make sure everything on the hydraulic side of things is okay. But yeah, the back end is pretty much finished. Next on the agenda would be to do the C-notch for the springs. The idea is pretty much where it sits right now. It's completely on bump stops, but I have a spring. Pretty much I'm gonna measure this spring. We're gonna notch it here, and we'll figure it out. I'm not exactly sure just yet, but most likely full C-notch. We'll raise this up, so then if he wants to have it more truck style, he could lift it or slam it, whatever you want to do, whatever he wants to do. But yeah, this is where we're at right now. So far so good.